Katie Black.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Field Day. I'm honored. Today I have with me
Eric Metcalf, and I was a baller.
You are still a baller.
At least in my mind.
You are. You are. Well,
very much.
Yes. First off, I want to thank you so much for joining me, of course. And so how this works is I like to kind of start off funky, and I understand that you're an Aquarius and was wondering, do you play into that or not at all?
I don't. I mean, I don't really think about the sign thing until other people bring it up. When people bring it up, I throw it out. I'm a water sign, and usually we can just roll over anything because nothing can really hold water back. It takes a lot to hold water back.
Sure, that's kind of a cool way to look at it.
That's about the most I get into it, because it's not really my thing unless it works for me.
That's true. Well, that's everybody, right?
Right.
Okay, so I understand. I always ask people where they were born and raised. Where were you born and raised?
So I was born and raised in Seattle, Washington. All my family, both sides of my family were here. I actually finished high school in Virginia. I started high school as a freshman in Seattle, but then I finished in Virginia. So I finished my last few years of high school there, sophomore through senior year, and then went to Texas, of course. But Seattle is where I've always called home, regardless of where, most times people say, if you went to high school in this place, that's where you're from. No, I grew up in Seattle, didn't leave Seattle till going into my sophomore year of high school. So I am from Seattle, and I've always lived here. Like during my pro career, I come here in the off season and back home now.
Very interesting. Well, before I get into your career, was curious, since you are from the Seattle, Washington area, I'm a big pop culture nut. Evan was wondering, were you into like the grunge era and the Kurt Cobain connection?
No, I've never been a grunge guy. I mean, I like the music. I love Kurt Cobain. I was, and all those guys, all the bands that come from here. I respect them and appreciate their music, but it just wasn't my thing, So I mean, I actually this, because you brought that up, you'll probably like this. I was like friends with Chris Cornell. And so yes, we we used to go hang out. My friend, our friend owned a car dealership, and so we used to just go down there and hang out all day. He had drums there, and we just hang out and just sit around and talk and go eat and hang out. And so it was a sad day for me when he actually passed away. Right.
Oh my goodness! Well, what a cool connection! I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I tell people, like, because I have CDs and everything that he signed for me and everything, and so like when he passed, the first thing I did was went looking through my house to find those CDs, because I had to put them away somewhere where I knew that I could take care of them. So yeah, I had to do that. Yeah,
I love that story. Very cool. Well, I'm glad I asked. Awesome.
I mean, and then when you think about it, when you think of a guy who's not even into rock or grunge, but I'm a rap R&B kind of guy, you would have never thought that I would have told you that I was friends with Chris Cornell, right?
That's what's up, dude. Well, that's why you never know, right? You never know how someone, I'm located here in Charlotte, and I always say the Charlotte spider web, kind of like the Kevin Bacon thing of like 6 degrees of separation. And I feel like maybe that's just throughout everywhere.
I believe it. I mean, someone who knows someone, and they can get you close to them. And so, I've been blessed and fortunate that through my dad playing in the NFL, meeting folks, and then having my career and able to meet a lot of good people and hang out with great folks.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you sharing that story. Well, getting into your career, I always ask, athletes that I speak with, and you, very athletic, was wondering, when did you know that you were an athlete and like good at it?
When I really knew, probably when I was like 7.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I really really knew. I mean, when I was a kid, you start playing football usually here in the state of Washington. It was 89 or so, 8 years old, and I remember my mother telling me she took me down to sign up for football, and she was like, "Okay, remember, you're 8 years old," but I was only 7. She's like, "You remember, you have to tell them you're 8 years old,"
I love
and
that.
so you have to you have to remember that because they're not going to let you play. And so I went down there, and I'm 8 years old, and started playing, and and I was doing very well. In fact, I actually scored like 10 touchdowns in one game. They called 3 of them back because I was faster than
Yeah.
most kids at that. Even though I was younger, I was faster, and so I knew at that age that I could really be something special in athletics because even when I ran track, they always put me with the age group ahead. And so I was always running against people who were older than me. I was playing football against people who were older than me as well.
Wow. Well, just because I'm fascinated, since you are so fast, have you ever heard of the runner's high? I keep hearing that. Or
But
no?
I'm big into track and field, and I competed in track, and I coached track in collegiate level, and some actual professional athletes as well. So I know about all that, but
That's a myth?
no, it's not. But
Oh.
it's not my thing, so I don't really play into it. When I was competing in track, it's like something I can do. It's a hobby because I knew what I wanted to do. Right,
Mhm.
as a going into my senior year in college, I was quote unquote a Heisman candidate, but the Olympic trials were at the same summer going into that, and so I was telling people, even if I made the team, I'm not going. I'm playing football. I mean, football is my thing. I mean, I love track. I love the individuality of the sport. I love how one-on-one coaching, and you can see how people can get better regardless of whether they win or not. You can always tell if someone's getting better based on distances, heights, times. And so if you're putting in the work as a coach and as an athlete. Whereas football, I could be the greatest running back coach in the world, but we can't block for the guy, so we never know. Or the better, or the greatest receiver coach, whatever position, we never know if the whole team isn't cohesive. And so that's what I love about track, and so there is the runner's high, but it's just not my thing.
Fair. Well, okay, so switching to Texas, once you move to Texas, I mean, what's the vibe? I mean, do you connect to the Texas, football way of life that is like top tier of everything since you grew up in Seattle?
It's a good question because a lot of people don't get to hear my first answer and experience is going to Texas. And when you're young and you're trying to get a scholarship, you hear of Florida, you hear of Texas, you hear of California, you hear of all these states that have great football and everything. And so I remember, and you got to remember when I go to the University of Texas, I'm only 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I don't turn 18 until after my freshman football season. So when we come back in January in the second semester, that's when I turn 18. So I'm very young going in there. And so I remember we go to Texas and we have our conditioning test, which is running back and forth up the field for 12 minutes to see how many times we can get down the field. My grade was average. One of my college roommates, his grade was average. Other running back who was a freshman, his grade were average. We were the only 3 freshmen who played that season, even though we were the only 3 who played and actually started. But once we got on the football field and practicing in camp and everything, I was just kind of surveying the land, looking at all the players. And I went to my college roommate and I was like, let me say something to you. I said, either Texas football isn't what it's all cracked up to be, or I'm real good. And he just looked at me and he was like, why can't it be both? And I said, you got a point there. So I was like, I must be pretty good. And so so then I was like, this is fun. I knew I could play at that level, play in the Southwest Conference, but you don't really know until you're actually out there, right? And my goal, because of my dad, was always to be in the NFL, and so I had a really good freshman year, but I didn't really think or know that I was going into the NFL until Mike Lombardi, who was then at the 49ers, came to me in the spring at our pro day. And I didn't do pro day because I was in track and field. But he said to me, you keep doing what you're doing, I'm going to draft you in the first round. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'm not really worried about that. I don't think he's going to draft me. And I'm happy they said the first round. Turns out he's with the Browns and drafted me in the first round.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, and even too, I was like trying to track everything. First of all, what is it like before we dissect NFL? Because like I said, man, I could talk to you all day. But what is it like to win all these? I saw that you all Southwest Conference selection 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, that was cool.
What's all that like? Do you get?
It's being recognized as an individual that you're a good player, and I love the fact that I had the opportunity. But when I think about like my time at Texas, the one thing I regret is that my team never won a conference, never conference title. I'm probably one of the only 4-year regimes that could say they never beat Oklahoma or Texas A&M, which are both our big rivals. And so that's the one thing. I mean, I had, like you said, to get the accolades to be Southwest Conference Player of the Year and 3-time All Southwest Conference was great. And I knew that during my time that things were headed in the right direction as long as I didn't get hurt. And so that was cool. But like I said, I wish I would have won some games and conference and all that. Because I mean, we won, I think, 24 games my 4 years.
I understand. Well, okay, so boom, you're in the NFL. You go to the Cleveland Browns. Mm-hmm. And are you still kind of having the same observation of, kind of like the Texas thing? Like, is the NFL is cracked up to, all those vibes?
I think it was a little easier for me because my dad did it. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to talk to him about it. I mean, even though we didn't really talk that much, even as a kid, when my dad went to Canada to play football, in camp, I had a locker and I had a whole uniform. So I would go to the practice. I would do drills and everything with those guys and watch film with those guys and everything. Like I was a part of the team. And I was like doing individual drills with the receivers and everything while they were actually in practice. And so when I got to the pros, it was like, like I have Reggie Langhorne, Kevin Mack. They say when I first got there, they didn't like me because they thought that I thought I was too cool. And I used to tell them, it's not that I'm too cool. I just expected to be here. This is what I expected my whole life. I just knew this was going to happen. So, it worked out where I got drafted by the Cleveland Browns. And I remember going to mini camp right after the draft, and it was May and it was snowing. And I wasn't practicing because back then I didn't have a contract or anything. So my agent was like, don't practice because if you get hurt, you're not going to get paid. And so I didn't practice, but I'm standing out there in the snow in May and I'm thinking, this isn't going to work. I've been in Texas for the last 4 years. I know I'm getting at least 70 degrees every Saturday. I'm playing on AstroTurf, which makes you a little faster. Now you're talking about me coming to Cleveland. It's snowing in May. I can't even imagine what it's going to look like in December. And on natural grass, if you want to call that grass, at the time. But and then so I held out all fall, Came in for one preseason game, played a couple plays in one preseason game, and then boom, the season started, and I was like, this isn't so hard, and this is going to be a fun time. And then from that day forward, I love being in Cleveland and being a Cleveland Brown.
I love that. Real quick, do you feel like you like manifested this, or is it just almost like a sixth sense of knowing that this would happen?
You sound like one of my friends. He's always talking about manifestation. I'm manifesting this. I'm like, I don't know.
You know, that's like a hot word right now, you know?
Right. I know you sound like my buddy, but I don't know. I think it was more so, obviously, God-given ability. My mother and father were able to collab and put me together, and so I so I felt, as a young age that just things were going my way, like on the field, on the track, being faster than guys, being able to make people miss at a young age, and at each level, it never stopped. It never stopped happening. I was faster than most people and being able to make people miss in space and everything. And so I was like, I can't say I manifested, but the God-given ability was allowing me to thrive once I got on the field.
Okay, 2 questions before we go back to NFL. Do you feel like, and this is another trippy kind of thing that maybe your friend says this too, I don't know. Do you feel like you've been here before?
As a cheetah. How about that?
A good answer. I love that. And also, okay, since you are obviously God-given, basically the definition of an athlete, does anyone have any conversations about how you eat or nutrition, or is that just not a conversation?
I talk to a lot of people about it now, especially because I've been a coach. And so talking to kids about how they eat and everything. And then I think to myself in side conversations, I was a terrible eater when I was young, playing in college and in the pros. I ate ice cream every day. Vegetables, and I didn't really care about how I ate, I was just out there having fun. I think if I would have trained and ate back then like kids do today, I'd probably still be playing, especially with these rules. I'd still be playing, right? Because they don't get hit, and I'd be in better shape. That's because, when I think about my career, one of my biggest regrets is that I think I should have taken weightlifting more serious. Because of course I didn't really get injured that many times or anything serious, but I think the longevity would allow me to be faster, longer, and kept me playing.
And I always ask guys too. So obviously, you're one of you believe the game has changed.
Oh, I know the game has changed, and I say that in respect to everyone, because when I look at this game today and I say, oh, they don't play real football. That's not real football. I'm sure my dad and those guys who played in the 70s say that about me playing in the 90s. Right? That's not real football, because they're not able to clothesline in the 90s like my dad and those guys were doing. And so those hits were vicious. And I'm like, I don't know if I could have played in that game, because guys would have just been running down the field and a play you're not even involved in and get hit. And so those injuries add up. And so, it all changes. And we know that. And it's for safety of the players, and it's for entertainment as well. But we just, as an older guy, you just want to see some real hitting and not be like the Pro Bowl now, mm-hmm. Right? That's all we care about, because we know that's what we've been through.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, 13 seasons in the NFL, and I'm here in Charlotte, born and raised. You were a Carolina Panther at one point. What was that experience like?
I didn't really like it.
That's fair.
I have to say, and it's because I think it was I think it's because it was at the end of my career when I was, kind of deciding, do I still want to play? Is this not really going like I want to? I've been traded twice. I was released because of cap casualty. And so by then I'm like, this is not really fun anymore because I'm not getting the opportunity to be who I am on the football field. You know, I didn't get used like I wanted to be used in the prime of my career. And so when I'm starting to get older, I'm really not going to be used like I want to be used. So it became not fun. And so when I got to Carolina, which was, I started Baltimore that season, and like I said, cap casualty, and then went to sign with Carolina. And so I knew when I went there, when they said I couldn't wear number 21, I had to wear number 82 because I was going to be playing receiver. I'd say, oh, this is not going to work. This is going to be a terrible time. And so, you know, it's unfortunate that you want to go out there and love it. And I love playing football, but I think everything around me made me not like it as much that after that. And so
I understand.
Yeah, so it wasn't fun for me.
It was a different vibe.
It was a much different vibe.
So I always ask, you know, obviously athletes, part of my show is explain to me, what was it like when your path, you know, your chapter of football or basketball or whatever it might be, quote unquote, like comes to an end. So it sounds like maybe even you were preparing for that, or how did that transfold for you?
Well, yeah, you know, what's funny is I actually played 12 years, but it was over 13 years. And so going back to the whole Carolina thing and playing in 99, I didn't play in 2000.
Got you. So there was
I was like, this isn't cool. I'm tired I've been traded twice. I've been played, so I ended up playing for like 5 teams and moving around. That's to go return punts from time to time. That's not really fun. So I didn't play in 2000. And so then 2001, I played for the Redskins for 10 games. But I didn't, like I said, I didn't go to week 7. And so I thought I was done. I even told them, I was like, I haven't been working out. They were like, come on, you can play. Just fly in for a workout. We'll see what's going on. If we sign, we don't. So I took one change of clothes. I was like, okay, I'm going there just because, and I'm flying right back. It's like, okay, we want to sign you. So I ended up playing that year, and then I was like, I'm retired again. After that, I'm done. I can't do this. The Packers called in 2002, going into week 16. I looked at their record and I was like, I think they were 13-2. I was like, I could do this. I could do this because I'm a punt returner and I'm going out there. It's not like I'm going to be standing around and if they go to the Super Bowl and get a ring, that I was just there. I knew I would be playing. And so I went and did that. The Packers ended up losing the first game, their first playoff game they ever lost in Lambeau. I'm like, I'm done. But going back to your question, I had already kind of started transitioning because even when I started, when I was playing towards the end of my career, I had already started like a track club and coaching track. And so I was doing that like during the summer, I would do that until I had to go to camp. So I was getting prepared because I knew that's what I wanted to do. I didn't really want to coach football, even though I did a few years in high school, but I had a passion for coaching track. And so I ended up doing that. And it was pretty easy for me because I could just go into continuing what I'd already started doing, and coaching in high school and my club team got me to coaching in college. At the University of Washington, which I did for a number of years. And eventually into doing consulting with Nike track and field. So it was good for me because in my mind, I knew that football was coming to an end. And so I had to start preparing for it.
Well, I don't know if the right word is awesome, but I feel like some guys they don't really accept it until it's really time. And so maybe that helped you having I don't know, a long transition process or.
I think guys accept it. I think they just don't know what they're gonna do.
Mhm.
Because even with me, I knew that track and coaching track and being involved with it was something I can do, but there's never anything, at least for me, there hasn't been anything that I'm as passionate about as playing football. And so for a guy who's been doing this for 20 something years, now you wake up and what do you do that's going to spark you? Like going to practice and being in the locker room with the guys. What do you do? And so that's what I think makes it hard for guys to figure out what they want to do because nothing excites them the way that being on a football team does.
That's fair. And I've also had a couple guys tell me that like there's no routine. Like for so long, your life has been like, boom, this, boom, workout, boom, training, boom, traveling, boom, game. And so I know that then you're like, what? Like, how do I plan my day? But
Right. And I'm still like that. It's like people, I walk 9 miles every day with
what?
the weight vest on. I want to stay alive as long as I can. I'm trying to stay in shape. I can't. I don't want to run because it hurts. And so I see people all the time. They wave at me because I see the same people all the time. Because I go at 7 o'clock every day. At the same time, people like if I was stalking you, I know exactly where you're gonna be. I got friends tell me you pass by my office at 9 o'clock every day. You got if I don't see you, I know you're out of town. So people, it's unfortunate people know my schedule like that because I'm so used to doing things at a certain time in a certain way, and that's because that's all we've done as football players. We've been so regimented. Got to be in for meetings. Got to practice this time. Got curfew. You got to do this. I understand when guys get away from that and they don't know what to do, and it's hard, and it's been hard, and so it's unfortunate though. But like I said, going back to having the passion to do something else, I can understand why some guys fall into addiction and everything like that because their life is changed. They're looking for something to keep them where they once were.
And even too, not that it's obviously the same line of work, but my dad retired a few years back, and it is, I think, regardless of your occupation, it's hard. You're not, but anyways, okay. So of course, they said they got me on the time clock. Zoom does, but I want to try to real quick plug your part of the Belief family as well. And was wondering, how did you guys come up with the title of the show?
No, you know what? But I don't remember how. It just happened that way. I think during that time when we first started the dog check, I think that was something that they were saying. I think because Christian Kirksey was saying that a lot when he was a Brown at the time. And I think something that was going around the fan base at the time was the dog check. And so I think that's how we got there with that.
I want to try to end on like another funky note, but I love asking people. Yeah, I know you're like, what? I love asking people if you've ever seen like a ghost or like a UFO, like something unexplained you can share. And it's okay if you haven't, but
No, but I've been a ghost.
you've ghosted people.
Ghosted people on the field, maybe off the field also.
Good.
Maybe both on and off the field.
50-50.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it can't really be 50-50 because at least on the field they knew I was there until they tried to tackle me. Off the field, they don't know if I'm there.
Yo, like remember that old commercial? Like, can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Right. Like I'm about to go see and go, and my screen's about to freeze.
Oh my gosh, that's a good one. That's a good answer. Are you there?
See, on and off the field.
That's a good answer. I love that. Do you want to give a shout out to where anyone can find you on social media or anything?
I really would be happy to give a shout out regarding my social media and Twitter account, but it's been hacked, and Twitter now thinks that I'm trying to hack someone so they won't give me my Twitter back.
No.
And
How
this
long
is July. And so and in fact, I got a letter from them just yesterday. We're unable to do this. We're unable to help you. If you want to start a new account over, you can do that. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that because I am Eric Metcalf, 21. That's my Twitter handle, at Eric Metcalf 21. That's who I am. So why do I have to go through this to get my account back that now is following no one, which I was following like 3,000 people. I've actually lost a couple followers also on there, I see, because it was like 30,000, down to 28, I think.
Oh
but I want that count.
Do you think would you want to write Elon or no desire?
If it's going to work. But dang, I really want it now. This football starts tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I need it.
Mm-hmm.
Need it.
Yeah, that's one of my, I don't know if it's my worst fear, but one of my fears is like having my social media, like, I don't know, I guess it just becomes such a part of our lives for so long is to have it hacked, you know?
Mine's been hacked more than once.
I
don't understand it. What are you getting out of it?
People are weird. People are weird. I don't know. But did you get it taken away before it became X or whatever?
I did.
Weird. So you can't even blame it on that.
No.
Well, okay, since I still have like 6 minutes left, any thoughts on this season or who you think's gonna go all the way, or is there gonna be like a Cinderella team, or any thoughts?
You know, when I look at the NFL, I don't really care about other teams other than the Browns. I want the Browns to do well. And so, I mean, you know, there are players that I like and I want to see them do well, but as long as they're not doing it against the Browns, that's all I care. I want to see the Browns be successful and give the fans something that they've been craving for years and years and years. I mean, so I think it's about time. I think they have a very good team. I predicted that they'll go 11-7 this year and do some good things because we're in a tough division. AFC North is tough, so I feel good about us winning some games in that division and possibly winning division and being in the playoffs. And that's when I think about, because I'm really a college football fan. So when I think about NFL, I watch it and I watch teams, but I watch it based on how it helps or hurts the Browns, right? Because can this team keep them out of the playoffs if they keep winning? Do we need this team to lose? Aside from you have to win games yourself, right? Obviously, you have to win games yourself. But I always think about how they can be in the playoffs and how they're maneuvering around the schedule.
No, I understand. That's kind of my philosophy for my team, the Panthers, but I don't know.
Yeah, you're rebuilding. And I mean, you know, we've been rebuilding since '99. So, and so I truly understand. And it's going to take time, but you got a good quarterback in the draft this year. Hopefully we can put people, hopefully you can get that line together to protect him.
I know.
It looked brutal in the preseason for him. Too many hits. And you know, he's been playing in Alabama for he has never experienced that.
And fun fact, my sister went to Bama, and we went to when they played the Jets, and I mean, it was just, you know, that's what my sister's Molly, she was like, yeah, he has no concept of what's it like to lose. So this is interesting.
Right. He has no concept of what's it like to lose. He has no concept of what it's like to get sacked a lot. it's going to be different because he's got probably hit more in this preseason than he did his whole time at Alabama. He's a very good quarterback, and I think they get the pieces around him, get that line shored up. Things can work out. I like his coach for him also, and so.
I mean, yeah, we just keep praying, I guess. Keep wishing. But
the thing the Browns fans have been doing. Just keep praying, keep wishing. It'll happen one day. You just want it to happen before you go.
Yeah, please, like, please. All right, Eric, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you had a good time.
I did, and I'm probably gonna ghost you next time you call. So I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
90% of jokes are the truth.
But there's always that good 10.
All right, like I said, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you sharing your experiences. Also, I always tell guys that interview, if you know any other athletes that would want to come on and share, always an open door policy.
Okay, I'll share that. I'll share that with some people. Take care of me.
All right. The screen freezes. Oh my goodness.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.